Inside of this presentation, I will be going over the key points in my dissertation focused around the research question, how did the Nazi government use the film industry as a propaganda tool? I will cover an overview of the secondary literature and its evolution, a short plan, and the possible weaknesses I will face. Reading through the surrounding literature, it has become very clear that the subversion of ideology inside of seemingly normal stories was key to Nazi cinema. This is due to the fact that they wanted to still ship their product abroad to foreign audiences, and as such, the discussion around them began very narrow, broadening out over a number of years. It is thanks to Erich Rentschler that the discussion began to span out wider, after he criticised how narrow the discussion had been in his book, Entertaining the Third Reich, Illusions of Wholeness in Nazi Cinema. This book and author are both referred to in almost every single piece of literature following, and as such I will likely be using it and its contents due to its longevity. The lack of conversation pre-Rentschler also allows for an interesting insight, because the articles written previously followed two linear schools of thought: condemnation for the ideas presented in the films, and vindication for the film industry. As such, I want to make a point to briefly explore the fact, as future literature also did. Feminist writers like Anja Ashid, who also quickly established her own diverse arguments alongside Rentschler, have explored the idea that women were in some way given more autonomy, as rebellious and less tied down narratives were explored in some Nazi films. She demonstrates very quickly how this was simply yet another illusion from sexist writings, as while these character traits can be found, they are worked out of female characters by the end of these movies. There has also been some allusion to the film industry being somewhat free from Nazi influence, due to how impossibly large a task it would have been to monitor every single movie produced. But this discussion didn't offer any evidence beyond small anecdotes from movies that had Nazi subversions. It is clear that films like melodramas work to reflect aspects of society, but also work to present the most desirable traits in them too. The fact was, anything that was abnormal could be shown initially, so long as by the conclusion it was exercised from the characters, notably single women with rebellious attitudes, who would find themselves in relationships with working men by the end of the movie. Before my research into the literature surrounding this topic, I had planned to use 3 chapters of 2,000 words to cover different genres of film. I now believe it would be much more interesting to cover 3 different aspects of Nazi film production instead of just the films produced. My first chapter would focus on the presentation of ideology and political statements. The second would discuss the ideas of intellectual freedom inside of the German film industry, and how much autonomy it had. And the final chapter will explore the exportations of films to the wider world, and how they were viewed in other countries. This brings me on to some of the main weaknesses of this idea. While there is no lack of literature, the explosions of ideas means that narrowing down the discussion to 8,000 words is very difficult. This is in all truth the best problem to have, because struggling to find literature is a lot harder to deal with. It will also be difficult to find the movies I need to watch in order to make judgments on their content for myself, as they are not readily available due to some reservations about their content and how they were produced. The other issue I have regarding the films comes with the time it will take to watch and take notes on them. It would take far too long to watch every single movie produced between 1933 and 1945. As such, I'll be taking a sample of notable movies from the secondary literature and using them as my basis to watch, as it will be more pertinent to be educated on the movies that are mentioned rather than ones that are not. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have enjoyed. It has been thoroughly enjoyable going through this topic, and I hope to do more.